Ready? Albert Schweitzer once said, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us have cause to think with deep gratitude of all those who have kindled the flame within us. May our chalice burn today in memory and in honor of those who have prompted us to find power, purpose, and the wisdom to change the world within our own hearts and our own hands." I think today we will be gratefully on the receiving end of so much beauty from Shuai and Anto. You know, they say that the violin, instrumentally speaking, is the closest approximation to the emotional range of the human voice, bringing with it the trills of delight and laughter and the abundance and depth of our sorrow. This morning on Memorial Day, as we remember those lost in service to this country, as we remember so many in our own community whom we have lost and whose lives are changing all around us, we gather for this last Sunday of our monthly theme of creativity. Each month here at River Road, we take on a new spiritual theme to guide our words together, to guide our work in religious education and our small group ministries. In tackling creativity together this month, we reflected on the power of creative interchange, that the holy exists in the places between us when we dare to endeavor to create something new. Today, as we speak of what is worthy of breaking any deep and honest silence for, we invite ourselves in our voices and in our music to create prayers of praise and of lamentation. I welcome you this morning while our entire River Road choir is either on buses or already in New York City getting ready to sing at Carnegie Hall tomorrow night on Memorial Day, a composition created in this place, by this place, for all of us by our music director, Cliff Harden. So I invite you to have a heart for the several bus loads full of River Roaders who are already there and the folks who will be making their way shortly. What we create together is so much more beautiful and abundant than we could ever create alone. And if it is your first time or your 400th time in this place, do know you are so abundantly welcome here. Our hope opening hymn is one of deep reflection and hope. Our hymn leader, Marty, will come forward to lead us through the Lone Wild Bird with lyrics right up here on the wall.
Good morning. I'm going to sing through once so we all get the tune, and then we'll sing the first verse again together and go on to the second, okay? Thanks. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight, and I am thine, I rest in thee, Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight, and I am thine, I rest in thee, Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The ends of earth are in thy hand, the seas dark, deep, and far off land, and I am thine, I rest in thee, Great Spirit, come and rest in me. Thanks.
This morning's service is perhaps different than many others we share at River Road. Our children and youth are spending the whole time this morning out together, playing, partying, acting silly. And so in lieu of a time for all ages today, I'm sharing with you a reading that informs the sermon I will preach in a little while. Today's sermon is one in which I am not trying to convince you of anything. It has in this way no point, no polemic, no persuasion, but perhaps an encounter with an invitation to consider for yourself what it is that is most worthy of breaking every silence for. This poem, Song, by the great poet Gabriela Mistral, was translated by none other than Langston Hughes. Gabriela Mistral was a Chilean educator, diplomat, and writer. She used this pen name, Gabriela Mistral, and was the first Nobel laureate from Latin America. A self-described recluse for most of her life, she was a woman who valued her silence. She knew that her poems were her singular way of sharing hope with the world. This one, to me, is a song of perseverance, spoken out of deep and abiding silence. A woman is singing in the valley. The shadows falling blot her out, but her song, it spreads out over the fields. In the fields, the other voices die with the dying day, and a moment ago, the song of the last slowpoke bird had stopped, but her deathless heart, alive with grief, gathers all the valley's silent voices into her one voice, sharp now and yet very sweet. Does she sing for a husband who looks at her silently in the dusk, or for a child for whom her song caresses? Does she sing for her own heart, more helpless than a babe at nightfall? Night grows maternal before this song that goes to meet it. The stars with a sweetness that is human are just beginning to come out. The sky full of stars becomes human and understands the sorrows of this world through the song that she sings so clearly. Her song, as pure as water filled with light, cleanses the plain and rinses the mean air of day in which men hate. From the throat of the woman who keeps on singing, day rises nobly, evaporating toward the stars. Here's the thing about showing up in community. None of us actually have it all together. We show up broken and whole, yearning and well-fed. We show up certain and confused with the joys and the concerns that ring in our own hearts, lifted up together in community as best we can. You, of course, are welcome to come forward and light a candle of joy or of sorrow for what dwells in the silent sanctuary of your heart. We have candle stations in the back of the sanctuary and another right here, but there are a few that I want to raise for us as a whole community, starting, of course, this Memorial Day weekend. What does one say for the memory of a people and a nation and that nation's wars? What does one say for those of us who have lost so many, and for those of us in government service who have labored to make it possible to lose ever less? On this day, for all of us, for those who have served, for those whom we love who have served, for so many lost, and in the yearning for a world with so much less pain. We also lift up today Bailey Whiteman, who's recovering from an expected, though certainly disruptive surgery this week. She is doing very well. And Jim Goodby, who writes in his wonderful words that he is presently situated at Sibley Hospital at the Renaissance Rehabilitation Center, recovering from a painful attack of sciatica. He hopes to be home late next week and just wanted us to know. We also offer gratitude for all those who joined here yesterday to remember the life of Zandra Flemister. Zandra, of course, the wife of John Collins. She was the first African-American woman to serve as a Secret Service agent here in these United States. And in this space, nearly every single African-American Secret Service agent, and in fact, every single Black woman to serve as a Secret Service agent in these United States since Zandra paved the way, was right here to honor her together. We'll honor the life of Pat Wand here at River Road on Friday the 2nd of June. Please do come to celebrate a beautiful, beautiful life, so very, very well lived. We also today just want to celebrate our former intern, Kirsten Lodel, who graduated from Union Theological School in New York City last weekend. Kirsten, I'm not kidding, like won every prize. I told her, like, could you leave like one prize for someone else? You know, but we know that it is just our great, great honor to have had some small hand in her formation as a leader and a scholar and a preacher. We give in many ways, gifts of time, of talent, of treasure, of service. And as we prepare to receive our offering today, I'm reminded that in this place, we don't give out of guilt. We don't give because anyone, especially a religious authority, including myself, ever says so. We give to the people to the left of us and the right of us, before us and behind us. We give not until it hurts, but until it feels good. This morning, you can give to support this place and these people in any number of ways. There's a website, and you can click on the button. You can text to give, as is now written in my soul. 73256 is the text to give number. RRUUC, and the amount you'd like to give. There's a box in the back. However you give, and in all the many forms it takes, we know that a community is the sum total of what we lift up to its creation. I mean, why talk? Just why? How should one go about breaking the silence? Shuai and Anto already answered the question, so consider these just notes upon a sermon already preached. What word is more eloquent than the silence itself? In the moments before a word is spoken, anything is possible, wrote the great preacher Barbara Brown Taylor. I've heard the same thing about stories. In the moments before the first line is written, that story can be anything. And every word that follows that first blinking cursor on a page is really a matter of winnowing, of narrowing, of carving away the infinity of stories that could be told. In the moments before a word is spoken, anything is possible. Those words, I confess, ring in my mind and give me somewhat pause as I rise here every Sunday morning and contemplate the task of talking. It gives me pause as I think of the work all of us are asked to do every single day when we are given the task of communicating something honest, something of our own hope and heartbreak out into this world. How shall I break the silence? What word is more eloquent than the silence itself? And how, pray tell, for every one of us, how can we have the courage to speak even one honest word into this world so often riddled with words of performance and preening and compromise? One honest word spoken out into this world so in need of authenticity and of enduring hope. How today and every day can we break the silence of complicity, the silence of sorrow, the silence of words that have no meaning and thus remain silent even as they are spoken, the silence of our weary hearts, our families, our calendars, our obligations, they press in on us as our lives and all their trappings go streaming by us at a pace we cannot begin to comprehend. All the words blend together into a cacophony. We hunger for a truth we cannot name, for wholeness in the midst of the mundane. We yearn for the kind of inspiration that makes people strong enough to actually change things instead of just wishing to God or the devil that they could do it for us. How do we, using all the capacity and agency in our voices, choose to break the silence? A child is born, all new and wrinkled and profoundly confused at the aggressive brightness of this world. The beginning of all things is encapsulated in eyes that are not quite ready to open. She cries, a nameless, beautiful sound that holds within it truth enough for the sages and the scribes to spend a whole lifetime studying, and the universe awaits a single word. What will she speak and when? What exclamation will bespeak the miracle that she is? My son's first word after months of anything but silence was ball. My daughter's not even the archetypal names or utterances the world has given for mother or father or the ones who care, but the name of the family cat, specifically Taco, she said, which was perfect. How shall we break the silence? What word most honest and clear will speak of what captures our most rapt attention as a bright red ball or a black cat streaking by in the night, hands poised in the narrow space above the piano keys, that magic little electricity of creativity pulsing between mind and body, thought and art? One note begins a song. But which note and when? For what mighty purpose shall we raise our hands above the piano keys today? How shall we break the silence and when, and with what power to send that song streaming out into a silent, eager valley of this burning world in need of the healing that only that particular song, played by those particular hands, can provide? The poem we heard today It says that there in the valley as evening falls and all the creatures of earth and sky claim their sleeping quietude, the woman who keeps on singing forms a note out of the breast of her deep and abiding sadness. This is a land burned and broken. This is a land meant to feed the people that the people have impoverished in the arms of warfare. The poem says that out of her grief for this and for so much else, for the same stuff that saddens us all, the stuff of life, for love, she sings without ceasing, and that her song, as pure as water filled with light, cleanses the plain and rinses the mean air of day in which men hate. The air that we fill with our cacophony of hatred, our argumentation and our preening. Her song cleanses the air of it all, one note at a time, from the throat of the woman who will not stop singing. Day, it says, rises nobly, evaporating toward the stars. I suppose then we should break the silence by learning how to sing, by seeing darkness and night in our own broken hearts and saying somewhere deep within ourselves, damn it all, I will sing anyway. If I don't want the sorrow to stand alone, I will sing until day comes. If I do not want hatred to be the only voice they hear, I will raise my voice and I will sing in peace. An honest song has the power to change things, to bring in a new day. It is by its nature a song of redemption, of outrage, and of power. Even in the face of suffering, an honest song can be a song of triumph, a sound of hope springing from the wounded that offers the power to heal. And there are times when we are called to break the silence with words of solidarity, right? Words of solidarity for those wounded and those oppressed around us, those fellows on this journey in a valley of ash and bone. But the poem challenges us to remember that we cannot speak words of solidarity and social justice and witness out there for the oppressed at arm's length or an ocean span away. There is no word of solidarity that is spoken for someone else in some other place as if they are a whole nother breed of human. There is no word of solidarity, in fact, spoken for the oppressed at all from the safe distance of a safe remove. Indeed, we cannot break the silence for them out of a desire to heal them, as if such a concept as them and us really exists when violence anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. To sing a song of change, this poem tells us we cannot sing for them at all, but must sing from our own suffering. We have to break the silence out of a desire to heal our broken hearts, and in so doing, perhaps begin to heal the broken heart of the world. There is no room for a paternalistic tone in the song that will save us all. Every day in your places of work, your homes, your social justice spaces, and yes, this congregation, you break the silence because a broken heart, a broken home, a broken world cannot stop the creative impulse within you. I remember reading once about the creative impulse that cannot be stopped in this world. When I read about St. Bernard Parish in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, there are these old growth bayou forests. And they say that the forests had an eerie and unquiet silence in the days following the storm. That even the birds sought sanctuary in calmer places when those winds blew through. Even the squirrels were refugees from the storm, and the entire upper canopy of the whole forest that had stood the test of ages, it lay scattered, quiet, and lonely. But do you know that when the fall came, in a season after the storm, They say that the magnolia trees shot out blooms all over St. Bernard Parish, even though they're not to bloom until the spring. They say they burst out blossoms in October, turning that devastated landscape all topsy-turvy. And when the blooms came out, the birds came back. And when the birds came back, the squirrels came home. And suddenly the canopy was alight with the song of the world. Trees are never confused, said one botanist. They knew what beautiful note to strike first. People can do this, can find the one beautiful note to strike that brings the whole chorus of life into something like continuity. People can create an almost unimaginably beautiful morning from the center of their great pain. In her continued exploration of silence and of why and how we should even bother breaking it, the preacher Barbara Brown Taylor goes on to tell a story of a group of interfaith peace activists, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Sufi Muslims, who gathered together in 1996 in Poland to bear witness to two places on this world where words and rhetoric, the power of the crystallization of thought, had been used to create great terror. Every morning, she said, these religious leaders from around the world would walk an hour from Auschwitz, where they slept, to Birkenau, where they gathered every day on the railroad tracks at the center of that camp. 50 years ago, she wrote in 96, that was where all the trains from all over Europe stopped to unload their deadly cargo. That was where the sick were separated from the healthy, the children from their parents. That was where that November 150 religious leaders from all over the country, 10 nations and four world religions, sat down in the snow to remember the dead. Forming a large ellipse about 75 yards long, she wrote, they sat in silent meditation twice a day, their breathing curling around their heads in the cold air. Some participants were surprised by joy rising out of that silence and the ashes. I do not yet fully understand, one of them said, so I cannot fully express the reasons, but we felt a complete sense of freedom and love on those walks together beside the barbed wire. It was as if the souls of those who died were handing over to us the feelings that were prematurely taken from them, that they never got to use themselves. This gift of life was completely unexpected in the midst of death. On the last night of the retreat, everyone, 150 religious leaders, gathered in the crematorium of that place, planting candles in the snow, while Swiss nuns led them in singing a lullaby. Days of silent witness brought forth the creeping, surprising, beautiful miracle of life, of hope within and around the encompassing darkness, singing a lullaby in the crematoria. That is one way to break the silence. Magnolia blossoms in a broken forest. That is another. The first note in the sonata that speaks wisdom no word ever has. That is another. We speak into the silence, or sing, or dance, or preach, or work, or do whatever the hell it is that we do, because our creativity is our power. Power not in the sense of power over, but power with. Power through our words and songs and deeds, not to be separate, but to be among those who suffer. Power to change the world, not for them, but for us all. Word, music, sermon, protest, story, peace, they are all the objects of a generous creation, and we truly are powerful enough to be the forces behind that ongoing creation, in spite of everything we have done, in spite of everything we mourn, in spite of everything we have lost. How shall I break the silence? What word is more eloquent than the silence itself? In the moments before a word is spoken, anything is possible. How shall we break the silence. I mean, Shuai and Anto, just thank you. Thank you. Everything we do together is an expression of how we want to be together in the world, and the way that they play with and off of one another is such a gift, an expression of friendship and community. We also want to lift up gratitude to so many people who make Sunday morning possible. We got our tech team, we got Tom and Hugh and Ajay up there today. We all know that nothing happens without the tech team. Thank you. And today, I also just want to invite you once again to have a heart for all of our singers and our musicians who had a 5-hour rehearsal yesterday up there at Carnegie Hall getting ready. They probably have another 4 or 5 hours of rehearsal today before the big show tomorrow. Cliff was sitting there signing copies of the score like the big famous composer that he is. And so think of them. The show starts at 8 p.m. tomorrow at Carnegie Hall in New York. Next week, we have 2 really important things happening on Sunday in the morning and the afternoon. We have our annual flower communion ceremony. In this ceremony, we invite you to bring a single flower from, the grocery store, your carefully tended yard, your mom's carefully tended yard, whatever you've got. We invite you to share a flower and then also to receive a different flower than the one that you brought. So please bring those blooms with you next week. We also have our congregational annual meeting in the afternoon. It is all on Zoom so that we can have wide and broad accessibility to everybody. So if you check your email, you'll get all the information you need about how to be there and be in Zoom, and any questions you have prior to the annual meeting, let us know. I want to again remind us that on Friday the 2nd, we have Pat Wan's service at 4 o'clock right here in the sanctuary. And right after we finish the annual meeting, we will be delighted that you can start bidding early and often on the River Road auction items, which include a sermon by me. So perhaps you could purchase a sermon topic and you could tell me to have a point in the sermon next time. I don't know, it's up to you. Or you could tell me definitely don't. It is a great gift together to have the auction as an opportunity. Like, you can buy dinners, vacations, all sorts of sharing of our gifts and our skills. Thank you so much for the people who brought it to us. And finally, as we prepare to take this light we have kindled out into the waiting world, may the truths that make us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies guide us and those we love and those we do not love forward together till the day spring breaks and all the shadows flee away. Amen.